Welcome to Love Talk. I'm Gregory Morgan. I give you some ideas and thoughts about relationships, life, spirituality, health, well-being, finances, addictions, everything to do with love and relationship. I am a certified master hypnotherapist and an NLP practitioner. NLP means neuro-linguistic programming, and it is based on a science, a very advanced science that is a hybrid blend, if you will, of psychology and understanding that the mind has been programmed and conditioned very much like a computer from the age, from birth. You've been programmed and conditioned by your environment, by the people in your family, by your religions, by your school, by your culture, by your belief systems. In other words, your environment programs you to behave in a particular way, and it's very set and it's very predictable. So for those of you who may have habits that you wish you could break or beliefs that you wish you didn't have, you may have a belief, like what would be in a belief that you wish you didn't have would be like, well, I'm stupid, or I'm fat, or I'm no good, or I'm not good enough. That would be a belief. Now, a belief is not the truth. A belief is a conviction that something is true, and then you produce evidence to verify that belief. So you draw into you, by your beliefs, the things that will verify that belief is true. So to the believer, a belief is the truth. But in neuro-linguistic programming, we understand that it is not necessarily true. You may have a limiting belief that has held you back throughout your whole life. I'm not tall enough, I'm not good looking enough, I'm not smart enough, or whatever it is that you're not enough of, or I'm no good at relationships, or I'll never make any money, any number of things that people carry around hidden to themselves. Now, somewhere in your conscious mind, you actually know that you have these beliefs, but they usually get put on a back shelf someplace. But like a program that runs your computer, it's hidden from your view, and yet it is determining what you see and what you don't see. It determines, this program determines what you hear and what you don't hear, what you believe and don't believe, and who you will attract into your life, what kind of relationships that you will have, determines your level of finance and your level of health. So internal programming is registered, if you will. It's where the memory of it lives, is in your neurological system, your automatic nervous system. It's stored throughout your body, and in neuro-linguistic programming, we have found the linguistic part, linguistic, is that through language, we can recontextualize, actually repattern or reprogram, is another way to say it, those patterns of thought and belief so that you're no longer stuck with them. You can actually erase old programming. For those of you who know a little bit about computers or who know a lot about computers, if you had a problem with your computer and it, let's say you had a virus in it and it was not functioning the way it was supposed to, a computer programmer could come in, like a neuro-linguistic programmer does with your life, and through a series of inquiries, begin to locate where the bad code was, where the damaging string of code was, and you could be able to highlight that and literally erase it. Just press delete and completely erase it. Now, once it's gone, it's gone. That negative programming cannot come back unless somebody puts it back, unless you put it back or somebody else puts it back, and then it would be very difficult to do, because we also program in a recognition system that's already there, that comes from your own subconscious mind, that, wow, that wasn't a very good thing to have in my life, and I never want to have that again. So we put in a new program, if you will, that not only will recognize whenever there's anything resembling that old habit or that old way of being, but will completely and automatically and just sort of subconsciously, without you having to remember or think about it, reject that option and program in new, more empowering options for you to be able to make the choices that will empower you to have happy, fulfilling, intimate, passionate, loving relationships, if that's something that you would like to have, or to make more money, or to lose weight, or maybe to gain weight if you find that that's something that you want to do. So it's also very, very effective for things like phobias. There are people who are afraid to get on airplanes. Like a phobia is an intense, irrational fear, and an intense irrational fear that when you're in the grips of it, you're not able to function normally, like your breath isn't right and your hearing and your seeing is not accurate. You have a panic, your body, don't have full control of all of your facilities. A phobia is a common phobia. A lot of people are afraid of spiders. I don't like them. I'm not afraid of them. A lot of people have phobias about spiders. It's so common that they've made films about it, right? Arachnophobia. Heights is another thing that people have phobias about, or people may have phobias about dogs or cats or any number of things. The dark. So people who have phobias, that's an intense irrational fear. In other words, if you think about it rationally, perhaps there's nothing really to be all that scared about. Maybe be careful, but not totally panicked where your breath is interrupted and your face flushes and your eyes narrow down and you can't hear what's going on around you so well because you're so listening for or in a hypertension state of mind. So that would be a phobia. That is a program. It is literally it's like a virus in your program. And something like that is something like that used to take years and years and years of therapy to be able to really never actually deal with it or overcome it, only just be able to tolerate or manage it. But the actual panic attack doesn't usually completely get erased or go away. It's always there waiting to happen. Claustrophobia is a very common one where people get closed in and they can't stand it and they panic. It's a very common phobia. So in neuro-linguistic programming, we're able to actually erase that quickly. And I'm talking about minutes. It's not hours, it's not days, it's not months, it's minutes. Within less than an hour, in a conversation, that's what the linguistic part is, because it's just a conversation. In talking and speaking back and forth with a master of neurolinguistics, you can actually begin to erase old programmings, install new, more empowering programmings, and be sure that that other one never comes back, that it's just gone. Okay, if you erase something from your computer and delete it completely and then put in something else, it's gone, and the new thing's there. So it's as simple as that. It's a fascinating technology. You may hear in my voice that I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about it because I needed to do it for myself. I learned about what I'll be sharing with you on this show is not just about NLP, not just about hypnosis, which is another fascinating and very, very powerful technology. And I'm not talking about stage hypnosis where they use hypnotic trance as an entertainment, because that is not what we're talking about in hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapy is not a therapy in itself. It is a therapy that takes place inside of a hypnotic state or trance. Now, a lot of people say, well, I can't go into trance. I don't know what trance is. I don't want to. But I promise you that if you've ever watched a movie all the way to the end, cried and laughed and got scared and gone on the adventures during the movie, along with the characters in the movie, that, for example, is a trance. If you've ever read a book and been taken up in the story, involved so deeply in the story that you learned lessons along with the character in the book, and you identified with the character in the book, and when they were happy, you were happy, and when they were sad, and if there was something about to happen, you couldn't put the book down. That is a trance. It's a light state of trance. However, a trance is simply focusing on a specific area of awareness while fully awake and alert and alive with complete choice. If you chose to stop the movie and go get some popcorn or put the book down and pick it up again the other day, you could do that. So it's not like you lose control when you're in a trance, you have choice. So hypnotherapy is the induction of a light state of trance, like in a story, like in a conversation with a friend, that in which the therapist guides you to your own more empowering resources. I can't convince you to do anything that you don't want to do, and I wouldn't want to. That would be counterintuitive not only to your well-being, but to mine. All I can do is find your resources with you discover things that may be hidden from your own view, that are empowering, that are positive, that are parts of your character that you may not have seen because you are already in a disempowering trance. Almost all 99, I'm going to say 99% of the people that you and I meet from day to day are walking around in a disempowering trance. They have some internal conversation going on in the back of their mind. That's why linguistic, because it's in words. You're so stupid. Oh, how could I do that? You know, those things that people say to themselves with emotion, with a conviction, with belief that they say to themselves. Those are trance-like states, but they're disempowering trances. How many people do you know that are walking around thinking the best of themselves and thinking the best of others and looking and excited about today and the possibilities of adventure that they're going to go on today, and what are they going to discover and how are they going to make more money and make more love and have better relationships? Most people aren't walking around in a state of trance that is empowering them to be all that they could possibly be and to be the fullest expression of who they truly are, not somebody that they've made up in order to get by socially. You know, all of us have a social mask that we put on around our families or around our business or around our boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife or kids. We have different personalities. I call them social masks that we wear throughout the day, and they are also trance-like states. But what if you could be just one? What if you could be your actual true self always and never have to pretend or put on anything for anyone? Just be the one you really actually are and have that be funny and charming and lovable and powerful and spiritual and all of the things and healthy and all of the things that you would admire in another human being, but maybe you feel that you don't have that in yourself. This kind of work is all about empowering you to find those resources in yourself. I'm here to tell you that you do have those resources in yourself. You are all of that. And so neuro-linguistic programming, hypnosis, hypnotherapy is all about assisting you, facilitating you in discovering in a matter of minutes resources that may have taken you years, decades, or even lifetimes to discover. You know, most people don't discover who they really are and what their life is really about and devote their life to something that they're passionate about until later on in life. Usually it's too late. You know, usually it's late in life and then we go, oh man, you look back, and that's what the midlife crisis is about that we talk about. We call it a midlife crisis. It's actually good news in the sense that at one point in your life, about midlife, you begin to discover that the life you've led up till now isn't it. For most people, it isn't it. We've been trying to make it through elementary school, then junior high school, then high school, then college, and then try to get a job and get a degree, or maybe get married or raise the kids or make some money or buy a house. So everything that we've been attempting to do is all so that we could get to a place in our life where it'll all work out. And so about halfway through your life, around 40, 45, 50, you look back at all that you've just spent half your life trying to get someplace. And by the way, that's a turning point, because in the first part of our life, everything is about moving into life. We're moving into life. We're exploring into life. And then there's a tipping point where we start looking at, well, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? We see our life as tapering off, not reaching some grand climatic ending, but tapering off. So most people begin to go, this is what I've given my life to so far. Do I want to do that for another 30, 40, 50 years, depending on how long you're planning on living? Or is it time for me to make a change, and is it too late? So that's a great question to be asking, actually. It's actually good news, but we call it a midlife crisis because for everybody around us, it's a crisis. For your kids, for your wife, for your mother, for whoever's around you and depending on you and who've gotten used to you being that certain way. For them, it's a crisis because suddenly those things don't matter to you anymore. Suddenly your priorities have changed and your values have changed and where the direction that you want to move in has changed, so they call it a crisis. And, that's when you see a lot of divorces, you see a lot of bankruptcies, you see a lot of people, starting to have affairs or moving in with someone else or moving out. You see a lot, or on the positive side, going back to school, learning a new career, selling their business and starting something else, or quitting a career that they've had for years and starting a new business. So those are some of the more positive expressions of a midlife crisis or midlife turning point. Those are all programmed in. So my work with you, that I do with my clients and that we do in our seminars and workshops, is to empower people to become aware of their pre-programmed, preconditioned, automatic programming, if you will, conditioning that they've inherited from their religions, their families, their schools, their cultures, and that have held them back and hindered them in some way in their life, in their life and in their full expression of their selfhood or their true self, and to begin to challenge some of those beliefs and to to challenge some of the things that you may have been taught, and to begin to think for yourself rather than just keep repeating something that you learned that somebody else thought years ago, maybe thousands of years ago. And, there's many religions or schools of thought or philosophies that, if they said it a very, very, very long time ago, like the longest time ago that they could possibly have said it, then we, for some reason, believe that it is even more true or more valid. Somebody that said something 2,000 years ago, because so many people have gone to war over it and fought over it and died over it, we sort of inherit it from our parents without ever asking, do I believe that's true? Let me think this through for myself. You want to tell me that there's a God up there and then down below the earth there's a hell that's burning, and that if I don't do what this guy wants, then they're going to throw me down there with that guy, and that'll be for all eternity. And so this whole life I'm here for is to try to make this one happy so I don't go down there and get burned up by that. That was the belief system of the religion I grew up in. I just thought about that, and I prayed and I meditated, and I got in connection with something that I can only call my own spiritual essence, my own spiritual knowing. And if you've ever had this experience, then you know what I'm talking about. If you've never had this experience, then it's time for you to get alone and be quiet and shut off the TVs and the computers and really begin to contemplate your life, because there's nothing more painful than an uncontemplated life. A life that's never been thought about, a life that's never taken time for reflection is not a life worth living. I'm suggesting that you gather and become aware of information. It's good. If you're watching this show, it's because you sensed, believed, or accidentally fell upon. I don't believe there are any accidents. I believe you were guided to watch this show, or you wouldn't be watching it right now. I don't think that it would be possible that you could accidentally just discover this show and hear some guy talking about getting in touch with your own spiritual essence. So if you're watching this message right now, consider that your own spiritual essence has guided you to this moment right now, in which I'm recommending that you take the time really to contemplate your own thoughts. Don't just accept my thoughts and my words. Consider them, but then consider them in the light of your own inner knowing, your own heartfelt truth, and take the time to know what that truth is for yourself, for you. Don't just accept my truth. This is my truth, and that's what I'm here to talk about. The name of the show is called Love Talk, and my truth is about discovering in various ways through 40 years of studying philosophy, psychology, quantum physics, several forms of science and religion, many religions, and comparing the religions, seeing what they have in common. There was a time when there weren't different countries. There was a time when, India and China and Mongolia and all of these Eastern countries were all just one vast territory. Persia was, one vast territory made of different tribes. There was no necessarily unified religious belief. And So people spoke the truth in many different languages. Wise men from every culture and every corner of the world traveled to study and learn from other wise men. They took the time to travel thousands of miles by foot or by donkey or something to go and learn from someone that maybe they had heard of by word of mouth and couldn't possibly know where they were or how they were living, and they would go and find them and learn from them, listen to what they had to say and take it into consideration for their own life. Now, you can go on YouTube. In fact, you can find me on YouTube, but you can find thousands of teachers on YouTube. You can watch TV shows. You can change the channel and see lots of teachers. You don't even have to travel anymore. And in one sense, that's great, but in another sense, it's almost too bad because it makes the information that you're gathering seem cheap because you haven't had any investment in it. All you had to do was sit on the couch and turn on the TV, and somebody's giving you some knowledge and wisdom that may have taken a lifetime or many lifetimes to accumulate and to pass on. You know, it's one thing to have some knowledge and wisdom. It's another thing to care enough about other human beings to take the time to put it together in some kind of a clear, concise message and take it to the world. You know, whether it be in a book or a seminar or a workshop or a television show, it takes something. It takes a commitment, and that's really I personally have arrived at a place in my life where that's what my commitment is. My commitment every day of my life, you know, aside from being a better husband and a better, you know, man and a better boss and a better teacher, is how can I say more clearly, more concisely, in a way that would be compelling and have other people begin to open their heart and not follow me, put me on a pedestal or think of me in any special way, but to open their hearts to themselves, to your own internal wisdom. And so that's really what this whole teaching called Embrace Growth that we've designed around the company called Embrace Growth. That's really what it's about. It's about causing an awakening of your own inner knowledge. You know, and it goes through stages. It moves through stages. You know, if you want to have enlightenment, if you want to become fully awake, alive, and aware, and have a life of love and passion and satisfaction and fulfillment, and share that with the world, and make a difference in the world, if you want to leave a legacy for future generations, if you want to touch the world and feel that somehow because you were here, that the world is a better place. I believe that's something that we all share together. And if that's something, if I'm right about that and that resonates with you and that's something that you would like to have in your own life, then it begins with a simple awareness, a sort of waking up from slumber, a simply opening your eyes and beginning to see, wow, what I've been doing, how I've been living my life hasn't necessarily worked. I've been blaming others. I've been a victim. I've blamed my world. I've blamed my circumstances. I've blamed my parents. I've blamed my education. I blame my culture. I blame my that I'm a woman or not a man, or a man not a woman. I've blamed everybody else for the fact that I've been unhappy. And so part of it is just waking up and going, wait a minute, who's in charge of my life? And so that's who I'm speaking to now, here today, right now with you, is I want to speak to the one who's in charge of your life. Your life. Because consider the alternatives. If you're not in charge of your life and the rest of the world is, or the universe or God or somebody else, anybody other than yourself, if anything or anybody other than yourself is in charge of your life, is responsible for your life, then you, my friend, are a victim. There's no gray area here. You're a victim of your circumstances. The source of your experience will always be outside yourself, and you are destined and doomed to do the best you can with whatever the universe throws your way. And you will live your life kind of always in a sense of dissatisfaction. I promise you there will never be some satisfaction and fulfillment in that. There'll always be the promise, here comes heaven, right? The promise of a better life after this one. See, the whole belief around that victim mentality, the whole belief around I'm not responsible for my life is that this isn't it. In other words, this isn't my real life. This is like my practice life, and my real life is later, someday, down the road, or maybe after this life. You know, depending on your belief system, I'll reincarnate. If you're like from Eastern religions, I'll reincarnate in a higher incarnation. If you're from the, you know, Judeo-Christian, Muslim traditions, I will reincarnate in heaven, some other world, you know, and everything's going to work out over there. You know, this isn't it. It's somewhere else. You know, and I better do it right. Otherwise, there's another somewhere else that's really, really bad, and I want to make sure I don't go there. That's a fear-driven life based on a victim mentality of no responsibility. I'm not responsible for my life. The universe is. So I'm here to tell you that if that's your belief system, truly, then you're never going to be satisfied or fulfilled. Sorry, get used to being dissatisfied and unfulfilled. And if you would like to be satisfied, fulfilled, passionate, turned on, and excited about your life and be able to create your life ongoingly, like being the cause of your life, then you're at the right channel. You come to the right place. You're listening to the right guy. That's what I want to talk to you about, is being responsible for your own life. And just consider this one little show, these few seconds out of your life, to be a wake-up call. That's what today is about. It's about like, wake up. There's another possibility that's extremely joyful. Does it mean that you'll never have problems again? Heck no. As long as you're a human being, as long as you have a physical body, you're going to have issues, problems, circumstances, challenges, things that you're going to come up against that are going to be hard. You're going to have choices to make between the easy way and the hard way, the good way and the bad way. That's part of being alive. It doesn't mean that your problems go away. What it means is that your choices become simple. Your choices in life always are leading to a higher, more empowering, more conscious and empowering state of mind, state of consciousness, in which you are willing and able, not just willing, but actually empowered, able, like response able. The word response able means you're able to respond powerfully from a body of distinctions. A body of distinctions means that it's not just knowledge. It's not just a bunch of stuff that you've collected in your head, like read a bunch of books and now you've memorized a bunch of passages of other people's thinking. No, you are now embodying those teachings in such a way that you're living your life from those distinctions, from that knowledge, not trying to get to it. You've ingested it. It's become you. It's who you are. Your choices become easier and simpler, even though your challenges don't go away. In fact, some of your challenges may be greater than you ever expected. Some of your challenges may be bigger than ever. But your ability to deal with them powerfully and effectively and to change the world, to move those issues forward, will be multiplied quadruply. They will jump off the chart. Your abilities will jump off the chart in your ability to deal with the issues and problems of your life. You know, our relationships are what drive our behavior. Our relationships are what drives us to behave in the way that we do, both financially, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. We are related to other human beings. Nobody exists inside of a vacuum. Nobody exists inside of, even if you're lonely and you have no one in your life, you're lonely and have no one in your life compared to other people. Because there's always somebody and something that's going on in your life that is in relationship to the other people in the world. So whether it's the people in your work, the people that do your laundry or clean your house, or if you have that, or the people down at the grocery store or the market, or that fix your car, or any of those kind of people are the people, how you know who you are, how you know how to behave, is by modeling the people around you, by responding to their behavior, and by internally programmed, if you will, to use that word again, behaviors that you've been conditioned to respond to people throughout your lifetime. So this show is called Love Talk, and it's about how do you really stay centered in the most heartfelt part of yourself. You know, how can we respond to our sons and daughters, to our parents, to our husbands and wives, to our brothers and sisters, to our co-workers, to that aggressive jerk on the highway? How can we respond in the most loving and empowering way? And when is it time to really stand up for ourselves and tell someone to back off? You know, you have to be able to have both. In order to have the light side of life, you have to be able to handle the dark side. You have to be able to not be afraid to step into what may be your powerful part of yourself and stand up for yourself. And so love doesn't just mean that you're pushed over or pushed around, or no, love is a powerful choice. Love is a powerful choice that you make. And you know, I've made this point before. You know, when you're weak and you know nothing about fighting or standing up for yourself or having courage or facing up to challenges, then it's easy to cry, peace, peace, brother, love and peace, right? You know, I came from the peace brother generation. The hippie generation was happening during my teenage years. So I come from a generation of people who, you know, wore flowers and peace signs, and everything was about love and peace. And yet, the truth of the matter was, they were totally unprepared for anything other than that. In other words, they didn't know how to stand up for themselves and how to go to war, or how to fight for what's right, how to intervene and do the right thing, even if that meant taking a strong action that might hurt somebody. So that was a generation of people who, you know, they loved everybody as long as they loved everybody else. So I love you as long as you love everyone. If you don't love everyone, then I don't love you. You know, so it was a kind of thinking that was, in my opinion, weak. Weak in the sense that it couldn't defend itself. Now, those people, my age, are parents and grandparents now, and they have raised a generation of people, couple of generations of people, who are now untrained, unprepared, unwilling to take responsibility for their life and for the world and for their relationships. And they're always looking for love outside yourself. If you're looking for love outside yourself, you're always going to be behaving in a way as to get the other person to give you something that you haven't gotten for yourself, to be able to get something from someone. That's not love. That's manipulation. That's not a relationship. That's a transaction. That's not, being related because it's love. That's need. When you need something for yourself and you can't get it for yourself because you don't want to be responsible for your life, because you feel like the source of love and well-being is outside of you, over there with somebody else, then your whole life is a sham. Your whole life will be manipulation in an attempt to try to get somebody to love you, get someone to give you something that you haven't given yourself. So self-love, self-esteem, self-knowledge, I would propose to you, is of the highest value. And you should spend any amount of time and money and effort to become solidly grounded and centered in your own self-knowing, in your own self-love, and in your own your own self-knowing, your own self-love, and your own self-appreciation, and to begin to share that with others. Your own thinking. Begin to really think for yourself. Think things through. There's a whole lot of difference between thinking, like actually generating thought, which can really hurt your head, I can tell you. If you haven't been trained in it. I was fortunate enough to have teachers who always taught me to think for myself. And hopefully you will have teachers like that as well. If you consider me a teacher, then I'm one of those teachers that will teach you, how to think for yourself. Not just, with your left logical mind, like to calculate things out and think in that way, although that is very important and a substantial part of thinking. There's also an intuitive part of thinking that is based on some things some things that you sort of guess at, and some things that may also be true, and you're willing to take the chance to experiment with it, to check it out, to find out for yourself, to try out something, to formulate, in other words, an original thought, which most people don't ever do. It's too chancy, and most original thinkers, most creative geniuses, and you are one, whether you understand that yet or not, most original thinkers or creative people that bring about new thought that is outside of the normal, everyday, accepted beliefs of the society at large are considered to be deviant at first. Deviance. Now, the word deviant doesn't have a positive connotation to it. Mostly when I use the word deviant, you think of somebody who is sociopathic or outside, which is a good consideration. I'm not saying that that's inaccurate. But there are what we call negative deviants, and that's who we mostly think of when we say deviant, is the negative deviants. Most of them are in prison. Most of them are doing time someplace. Most of them, we hopefully, have been taken off the streets so that their negativity doesn't harm society. So by popular demand, negative deviants are sought after, hopefully by our police, and put away so that they can't do harm to the norm. There's another kind of deviant that I want to propose to you, and that is, one of my mentors, Marshall Thurber, comes up with this distinction. He calls them positive deviants. And I became a part of a mentorship group that he led called the PosDev, Positive Deviants. And there are people who do not agree with the everyday norm. People that are thinking outside of and challenging the thinking of the day, philosophically, religiously, spiritually, mathematically, in terms of science, and in every other way, economically. There are people who challenge what is known, challenge what is accepted, challenge what is the norm for the sake of expanding beyond current limitations for the betterment of mankind. All breakthroughs in technology, from the light bulb to rocket ships or telephones and computers and television, all breakthroughs in technology, all breakthroughs in religious thought or spiritual thought, all breakthroughs in health and well-being, such as the invention of, say, penicillin, happened as a result of a positive deviant thinking outside the box. I hate that term because it's so worn out, outside the box. But thinking outside of the enclosed, compartmentalized thinking of the day, whatever day that was. And at first they were ridiculed, then they were criticized, sometimes they were feared, sometimes they were opposed violently, really opposed, and when their breakthrough thinking had established itself, they were lauded as being geniuses. We build statues to them. We write books about them. They've made it into the history now as being, a genius or a breakthrough thinker. But I'm here to tell you that every one of us has this genius, this capacity within us. We just simply don't challenge the thinking of the day because it's not really safe. Most people who are, if you think of, in my own lifetime, I've watched several forward thinkers, people who were challenging the thinking of the day, be assassinated. Martin Luther King, we just celebrated Martin Luther King Day. He was somebody who says, hey, we don't have to live like this. Black and white people can live together. Duh. That is so obvious now in this day and age. It's so clear. Yeah, why not? And in fact, not only why not, but it's the better idea. But back in the day, and that wasn't that far away. It was in my lifetime. In my own lifetime, I grew up in a neighborhood where black and white people were separated from each other. I went to one of the first schools in my town where blacks and whites went to school together, played football together, went to class together, hung out together, and a lot of fights broke out. There were racial tensions even back then. It was a very, very sensitive time. But now it's mostly accepted. I will say mostly because in some places there are still racial things going on, and even here in America. But it's accepted as commonplace, obvious. Person who was at first chased down and shot is now considered a hero and they've celebrated, they celebrate his life on Martin Luther King Day. That's just one example. But there was John Kennedy and his brother Robert. There's been Gandhi. All of the great thinkers who stood for something, who challenged the thinking of the day, have ended up getting shot. Not all of them, thank God, because we probably wouldn't be as far along as we are today. But I'm challenging you to really begin to contemplate and think in your own way, and to bring that into your relationships, into your businesses, into your families, into your homes. And listen, I don't want to talk you to death. I'm going to go ahead and take some calls. Hello, this is Gregory. You are live on the air with Love Talk.
Hello?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. And I have a question.
Okay.
I'm dealing with a lot of unfulfilled promises from my members of my family.
Yes.
For example, they borrow money from me with a lot of promises to return it to me, and they don't.
Yeah.
And also other issues that I have to deal with, and I make it become my problem.
Yes.
It's just I'm coming from a large family, 10 children, and I really am at the point that I just want to give up having relationship with them. I'm that frustrated.
Okay,
Really
I got that.
need some advice. Thank you so much.
All right, well, why don't you stay on the line, and while you're doing that, go ahead and turn your TV down because it's repeating everything you're saying and we can hear it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, it's all right. The short version of this advice?
Yes.
The short version is never loan money to family that you expect to get back, that you have to get back, that you need to get back. You may or you may not. And history has shown that more often than not, you will not get it back.
I'm sorry for interruption. Can I listen to you from the TV?
Yeah, but I want to have an interaction. I want to have an interaction with you because I want to help you, not just give you advice.
Sure. Sorry
okay?
about that. Yes.
Yeah. If you just want advice, I've already given it. That's the end of my advice. Don't loan money to your family members if you need to get it back. That's the short version.
Yes.
Right? And it's kind of common knowledge. Most people know that. Maybe they didn't, maybe you don't, but now you do, okay?
I think the reason that I'm doing this is because I feel they have some financial problems, and then I'm trying to be help.
Yeah.
And helping.
Yeah.
At the end, I really hurt myself, and I would like to know why am I doing this?
Okay, now this is piece of advice number 2. Second piece of advice. One is don't loan money to family if you need to get it back. In other words, only loan money that you may lose and know that in advance, okay?
Right.
Second piece of advice is you feel that they have financial problems.
Yeah.
And you want to help them.
I just want to know why am I doing that? Why am I... I feel like I need to help all the time. I just feel like I have to be available to help, and then I deal with a little bit of guilt feeling. Not a little bit, lot of guilt feeling.
If you don't help them and they fail.
I'm on top of my own life. I have a pretty good life. And then maybe I feel, I don't know, pity about them. I feel, I don't know,
I understand.
A lot of sympathy, a lot of...
I got it.
It just bothers me, and I keep doing it. I've been doing this for a long time.
How long have you been doing it?
Just helping them, especially
Yeah, how long? 30 years, 10 years, 5?
years,
Huh?
25 years.
25 years. So a lifetime.
Yes.
A lifetime. Okay. And so it's kind of become common knowledge in your family that if you need some money, they should go to you, right? You're Miss Money Pockets in the family. Does it have you feel like you never know whether they care about you or they just are being nice to you for your money?
The second one is kind of true for me. That's my feeling that they just want me.
Like if you were as broke as they are, would they be so nice to you?
Yeah. When I do that, they're very nice to me, and I get a lot of good feeling about myself that I'm able to even borrow money to give them money.
Okay, that's a big mistake. Do not borrow money to give somebody else money. Okay, that's just really bad advice. Don't do that. Okay, if you've borrowed money,
I just like to know why maybe I'm trying to buy their love and some validation or.
Yeah, and the other piece of advice that I was going to give you was never give more than you can lovingly and willingly give, because then it is no longer a gift. In other words, give up to a certain point. I think that you should give as much as you can lovingly and willingly give. And when you feel that you're passing that point, cut it out, okay? Don't compromise yourself, because then you become a codependent person. So you should never give more than you can lovingly and willingly give. Here's my philosophy about this. And, you know, I got this from one of my mentors, Dr. Pat Allen, okay? And it's true that there are people, you and me, and it's very common, particularly amongst women, and particularly sometimes in the Persian culture, to be very, very generous. Just generous to a fault, to give away, give more than you actually have to give. If you're borrowing money to give to your relatives and then they're not paying it back and you're paying the bill and paying interest on the loan and having to go generate money so that they can live off of your money that you're paying for, you're actually paying interest on, that would naturally feel uncomfortable. It's not normal. In other words, it is an imbalance in nature. You know, we all come into, you had the same parents as they had, right? You had the same chances in life to make a success of your life or a failure of your life that they had. You know, you made mistakes, I'm sure, on your way to success, and it wasn't all just easy. I doubt very much that your success was just handed to you. You probably had to work hard and earn it, and you're probably still working hard to earn it. So my guess is that somewhere along the line, you have lost a sense of self-pride, self-esteem, self-worth, and so helping other people makes you feel more valuable in their eyes and to yourself. And so you're actually attempting to buy self-worth, which you never can do, of course. You've found this out. You can never buy self-worth. You can only find self-worth. And when you find your own self-worth, one of the bonuses that come along with discovering who you truly are and what your value is in the world and what your purpose is in the world is that it comes with an innate sense. By innate, I mean like bred in, kind of built into the self-worth is a sense of boundaries. Like, wait a minute, that's too much. No, can't do that. Sorry, would love to help you. Not going to happen. I need this money for myself, for my lifestyle, for my sense. I'm sorry, you don't have money? I suggest that, I'll help you find a job, I'll help you find a way to make your own money, but I won't give you money, especially if there's people who are repeating, people who keep coming back for more. You're preventing them from learning their lesson. You're not serving them. You're actually harming them. And I've told this story before on my show of a man who discovers a beautiful moth in a cocoon, and the moth's wing is just coming out of the cocoon and it's trying to struggle and get out. He discovers this and he takes it home. He takes the moth and the cocoon home, and over the course of a couple of days he watches the moth fighting to get its wings free and to emerge from this cocoon. And it looks like a losing battle. It looks like maybe the moth is going to die. So the man takes a little razor and cuts the cocoon open to free the moth. This moth never develops wings that can fly. For the rest of its life, it has a crippled wing and is unable to fly. In other words, unable to live its life as a moth, as a butterfly, because it turns out that in the struggling to get the wings free is where the moth is necessary for the moth to build the strength to have wings to fly. And so I tell you this story because it applies as a metaphor to your friends and family. There are struggles in life that are appropriate. You got to be strong who you are by struggling and overcoming obstacles, by learning, teaching, having discipline, applying yourself, failing, trying again, failing some more, trying again, getting up. I know that if you're a successful person that has money, it's because you failed a lot of times and then you had a few successes and you didn't give up until finally you became a successful person. You continued to correct your failures and apply this knowledge to have more successes. That's how success is built. It's not lucky. It's not, if you think that somebody's successful because they're lucky, most of the people that you see that are lucky have worked their tail off for 20 years or more to get there. And they've done a lot of hard work when nobody watched, when nobody appreciated, maybe nobody helped, or maybe even some people tried to get in their way and stop them from being successful, and they kept pushing until they became successful. You, my dear lady, are probably one of those persons, okay? But along the way, perhaps you failed to notice your own self-worth, your own value as a human being. And another thing that I sense from talking to you is that there is a purpose for your life, for my life, for every person's life that's watching this show. There's a reason why you came here. Now, if you believe that that reason is to support your family, then I think you should give them all the money they want. But if you feel that there's some other purpose in your life that is greater than that would contribute to the world, that would contribute to other people beyond just giving your family money, then I propose that you get busy doing that you put some money aside for it, you put it in your schedule, you schedule time to do it, you train and develop yourself so that you become good at it, and whatever that purpose is, I propose that you get busy doing that, because I believe that if you're successful and you have money, it's so that you could do something with your life, not just so that you could be comfortable and sit around and watch TV. I think that you wanted to be comfortable, certainly, but I believe that there's something greater in your life that you would like to do with it. That's all I got to say about that. Thank you for watching my show, and I'll see you back here again next week on Love Talk.
سلام، من رضا هستم و کارگاه آنلاین سوم خانم دکتر رو شرکت کردم. خارق‌العاده باش، میتونم بگم که برعکس اون چیزی که فکر میکردم سورپرایز شدم. فوق‌العاده بود. یک سری چارچوب‌های ذهنی و محدودیت‌های ذهنی که داشتم مخصوصا در مورد پول و کار به طور کلی برطرف شد و از اون روز واقعا احساس پر انرژی بودن و احساس فوق‌العاده‌ای دارم و مطمئنم که میتونم هر چی که میخوام خلق کنم.
من پانتئا هستم. میخواستم که از دستاوردهای کارگاه آنلاین براتون بگم. کارگاه‌های آنلاین برای من خیلی 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 مفید بود. تو کارگاه اول برای من مشخص شد که به چه دلیل بعضی وقتا واکنش یا عکس‌العملی دارم که اتوماتیک انجامش میدم و هیچ کنترلی روش ندارم و اغلبم پشیمون میشم و یا ناراحت و یا عصبانی میشم. در این کارگاه متوجه شدم چطور میتونم در لحظه به این موضوع آگاه بشم و دیگه فقط به طور اتوماتیک یک واکنش نباشم. انگار که یه ابزاری دیگه تو جیبم دارم که یه ابزار جادویی که در هر لحظه میتونم اینو از جیبم درارم و ازش استفاده بکنم و دیگه لازم نیست ساعت‌ها و روزها و شب‌ها خودم کند و کاو کنم بگردم که مثلا چرا حال من بده، من چرا این کارو کردم. خیلی زودتر از قبل متوجه حال و روز خودم میشم و به این آگاهی میرسم. در کارگاه دوم خیلی خوش گذشت. دوباره عشق در تمام ابعاد زندگیم رو تجربه کردم. تو رابطه با خانواده، جنس مخالف، دوستان و همچنان هم ادامه داره. عاشق خودم هم همینطور خیلی بیشتر از پیش شدم. تو رابطه با جنس مخالف متوجه شدم جذابیت یک رابطه واقعا در چیه و چطور ادامه پیدا میکنه و اون انرژی خلاق و جذاب که همراه با سرخوشی و شیطنت و سرزندگی است چجوری جاری میشه. و در کارگاه سوم هم متوجه شدم که در واقع تا اینجای کار با خودم چندم و کجای کارم. جالب این که میتونم چقدر بزرگتر از حتی ذهن و فکر خودم خلق کنم و چجوری و چطوری در آینده که آرزوشو دارم بسازم و اونو خلق کنم و برای رسیدن به اون تک تک قدم هام باید چی باشه.
Welcome to the Embrace Growth app. There's a new way to communicate and join in. Create your free account online and sign into the app. Manage your profile on the go and choose between English or Farsi. Register for events and schedule appointments more easily than ever. Stream audio, video, and download books all over Wi-Fi or cellular. Sign up for workshops and seminars right on your phone. And access your audio and video library in the palm of your hand. Take your favorite lessons from Dr. Azita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan with you. Download it today on the App Store. A haven for the weary soul, a source of inspiration and community, redesigned to bring you meaningful experiences and unforgettable events. We are a worldwide community of vibrant individuals, displayed in the people who are a part of it, from many nations, backgrounds, and beliefs. Through powerful outreach programs, the struggles of everyday life are confronted and conquered, transforming those who participate into the best versions of themselves. One-on-one sessions are available to keep you headed in the right direction, coupled with the best resources to remind you how to live, whether at home or elsewhere. Programs designed for men, providing the building blocks of maturity, commitment, integrity, and leadership, paving the way for productive and fulfilling manhood. Beyond an understanding of masculine leadership is its application in daily life and development into something truly unique. Exclusive training for women, encouraging growth and empowerment through an acceptance of their true identities, redefining interactions, and changing the viewpoint through which life is seen. Embracing the woman within and accessing facets of your personality hidden beneath the surface. Showing our youth the value of integrity and reliability by creating an indwelling desire to succeed with honor, basing the future on a solid foundation of ideals that will guide them through life, leading by example, and showing others how to clearly convey their thoughts in a compelling way, creating a culture of mature leaders who can help others achieve self-confidence and their goals. Real people and real lives are changed for the better. With every event, more are touched and come to an understanding of their place in this world and their community. Embrace Growth is run by a passionate team and led by the diligence and inspiration of Dr. Azita Sayan and Mr. Gregory Morgan, who consistently teach life lessons based on what works, rather than the passing fads of the times.